Hi everyone, welcome to week 4 of your Medical Language 2 course. This week we are covering chapter 12 on the male reproductive system. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things in this chapter. We're going to be looking at the different pieces of the anatomy, as well as some of the disease states, the way we treat those disease states, some of the different laboratory tests that can be done, and some of the other types of medical and surgical procedures that are done on the male reproductive system. So obviously, let's take a look at the parts of the male reproductive system. We have two different areas. We're basically going to be looking at both the external and the internal. So obviously, external is what we can see, and then the internal is what's inside, the parts that we cannot see. So those are the two different sections. It's two ways that it's split up. And because the male reproductive system also shares the urethra with the urinary system, that's why it's called the urogenital system. So the idea is that, we kind of use the same parts and pieces to do multiple things in the male reproductive system. So that's why it's referred to that way. Obviously, the reproductive system itself is used to secrete male hormones, develop those, male sexual characteristics, produce and release sperm, all of those types of things. They're going to then go through and talk about all of those external and internal parts and what their functions are. So make sure that you know and understand those. And then we are going to go through and look at how those parts work, as well as what are some of the things that may affect them disease-wise. So we're going to look at the different diseases that can affect the male reproductive system. Infertility is listed as a disease, even though it may have an external cause. It is listed as a problem with the male reproductive system. So just kind of an FYI on that one. Some people may or may not, understand that it is considered a disease, even though it is, might have some external causes. Of course, there's things like testicular cancer, prostate cancer. Those are some of the things that you might be a little more familiar with, as well as sexually transmitted diseases and things such as that. So they're going to go through and also talk about some of those sexually transmitted diseases, how they manifest, what they look like. And then, of course, we want to know how are we going to be treating some of them as well. So you're going to see how, you treat it with an oral antibiotic, for example, or an oral antiprotozoal for this particular one. So again, just, a little bit of everything about the different disease states. And believe it or not, we do have male breast cancer. So that's what this one is about. So they wanted to make sure we point that out as well. Of course, blood tests are one of the first diagnostic tests that we do. We also have tests on the semen themselves. That way we're able to determine things like, if there is a medical cause, for example, for infertility, things like that. So a lot of different things under those. And then we have medical and surgical procedures. So what are some of those things that we can do to determine if someone suffers from one of these disease states? Probably the testicular self-exam and the digital rectal exam are probably some of the more common ones that folks are aware of. Those are ones that are used for prostate cancer. So make sure that you understand how those work and what they're for. Obviously, if you are diagnosed with something, a biopsy may be necessary to determine if those cells are cancerous. And then once they are, there's some different things that can happen too. We have a resection of the prostate. We also have vasectomy, which is for, obviously a vasectomy is used to prevent reproduction. But there are also, removal of the prostate and things like that for other causes, things like the prostate cancer. And then some of the different drugs that are used. We have everything from, your basic antibiotics to different drugs that are used for erectile dysfunction to the drugs that are used for treating prostate cancer. So a lot of different things that are used with this particular system. And then finally, we have the abbreviations for this chapter. So as you're going through this material, if you have any problems or questions, please make sure that you reach out to me and have a great week.